Hey guys, Shelby Thorne here, going over our latest blog post, What is Demand Generation Marketing? This is a direct follow-up of a blog that we posted probably back in April, so it's been quite a bit. Had a few other things on the table, so I wanted to come back to it. Please, if you haven't seen it already, go back to it. I'll post the link in the description, and it's also here available in the blog, which will also be in the description. So this does assume that you've read or watched that, so make sure you take a look if you haven't, or if you have a good understanding about it, don't worry. So going ahead and diving in. So once you've got your website, you've got all your analytics, Web 2.0 properties, everything's connected, you'd think, oh, okay, I have this great website, now I'm good. But unfortunately, the phrase, if you build it, they will come, doesn't really apply in today's world. So you're going to have to generate demand if you want to have any sales or any progress with your company. So the way that we do this here, after we've got our foundation set up, we've identified a few target keywords, some of our audience, we go ahead and we utilize paid channels online, sometimes offline, but because we are primarily a digital marketing agency, we don't do too much of that traditional offline marketing on our side. So the two main methods of generating demand online are through paid media, as well as online organic traffic from search engines and Web 2.0 properties. So diving right into the paid media channel. As part of a foundation, like I mentioned, you should have spent some time getting a better understanding of your target market, who they are, what they like, and most importantly, for our purposes, where they spend their time online. Obviously, it's not perfect. You might kind of have your ideal customer profile or just like a general persona that you're targeting, or a couple of different personas, and a general idea of where they're spending their time. So let's say, you're a baby product company, you target young moms. They're likely spending a lot of time on Facebook, Pinterest, maybe Instagram, and they probably use Google to get a lot of their answers for questions that they have. If you're targeting older generations, they might not be super computer savvy. They might just have their plain old Microsoft PC that they picked up, like a Best Buy or whatever. They enjoy staying connected. So they're still using Microsoft Edge. They're using the Bing platform, so they're going to be seeing Bing ads rather than Google ads. And then to stay connected with their family, they're likely on Facebook. And you can kind of, keep going through that. Businesses might be on LinkedIn. Again, it's not exact science. Some of your assumptions will be wrong. That's okay. And demand generation is a constant process of learning, optimizing, and testing your new hypotheses, even when things are going well. Even if we're doing great, we can always do better. So we are constantly testing the things. If they don't work, we stop doing them. And if they work perfect, let's keep going in that direction. So diving into search engine marketing. It's often called pay-per-click or PPC. It's a great ad platform for nearly every company. The main players are Google, Bing, and Yahoo. There are plenty of others, but those are the big ones, especially Google, followed by Bing. Yahoo, I don't believe any of our clients use, but it still is a viable platform if you think that's going to work for your company. So depending on your industry, you might spend thousands of dollars within your first month with little to no return. Running a successful ad campaign takes time and money on any platform, but the ad spend is never a waste as long as you look at it and you see, what was I doing wrong? What can I learn from this? Do I need to just turn everything off and pivot, or do I need to just adjust? It's never a complete waste. You can always learn from it. Even if you decide to not run ads, you learn that ads don't work for you. So there's a couple of things that we focus on when we're doing our search engine marketing. First and foremost, we want to find our high-performing keywords as quickly as possible. To do this, we go ahead and we start picking our initial keywords, and then we keep that list very small. But we do include a few modified broad keywords so that we can find new high-performing money keywords and quickly scale up. So what we would look for, for OM, we would use plus digital, plus marketing, plus agency, and we'd probably get, some undesired keywords, search queries in there. But we could learn from that and add those to negatives. At the same time, we would also probably get some good ones. Maybe we'd get a gold mine like digital marketing agency in Orlando that specializes in B2B healthcare sales. That is a very long tail, very far-fetched keyword that we're not going to see that often, but that would just be absolutely perfect, and that'd be something that we want to continue targeting. So as that goes on, as part of your optimization, which we will cover in a later blog, hopefully one that doesn't, come as late as this last or as this one did as compared to the last one. But you will want to go ahead and start scaling down those broad modifieds and start moving into more of the phrase and the exact keywords as you start to find your gold mine. So we also focus on increasing our search impression share. The closer you are to 100%, the better, because you will be far more likely to show for a target keyword as compared to a competitor who might have a lower search impression share, maybe a 60 or 70, whereas you have been 80, 90, 100%, you're going to be showing far more often. And then finally, we always track our Google Ads conversions by importing our goals from Google Analytics. It'll work differently for different search engines like Bing or Yahoo, but this is best practice for Google Ads, which is the main search engine that we use with our clients. If you don't know how to import a goal from Google Analytics into your Google conversions, we can go ahead and create a tutorial video. Just let us know in the comments or send us an email and let us know if that's something you're interested in learning. And again, there is a lot that goes into search engine marketing, which we will cover some of those things in a later blog. And if there's anything specific that you would like to know, please let us know so we can, use that and create content that you want to see. So that's it for search engine marketing. Moving on to social media marketing. Running ads on social media is actually very different from running an ad on a search engine. For simplicity's sake, I mostly just cover Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. But there's plenty of other ones, and I'm actually going to talk very briefly about them below. But they all have their merits, and kind of as part of your ICP or your personas, you might determine that they are on other platforms like Pinterest or Reddit, and you would want to target ads on there. So to create the best ad strategy for your company, you want to look at your target audience and just funnel it. So if you don't know what a sales funnel or marketing funnel is, basically, I'll actually scroll down here because my picture is covering our beautiful graphic. So you have the funnel, you have people at the top, people in the middle, people in the bottom. People who are completely unaware of your offering, might not even know there's a problem, or maybe they're just completely outside of your target market. They live outside of the funnel. People at the top are people in your target market who may not know about your marketing or may not know about your offering, may not necessarily know about your brand. They might be aware that they have a problem, or they just don't know enough. They're at the top. As they start to learn more about your brand, they're learning more about your offering, they start moving to the middle of the funnel. And then finally, people who are at the final stages of the buying cycle, people who are maybe comparing their options, looking at prices, really considering your brand. Maybe they have gone through a demo, or they've spoken with your sales reps on like a chat or email. Those people are at the bottom, and they're getting very, very close to converting. People who have completed your desired action, they have made it through the funnel. And depending on your offering, if there is a chance for reconversion, maybe you sell a product and it needs to be replaced every now and again, or it's usable, it's a finite resource, and they have to keep buying more, they would have the chance to keep reconverting, and they might live back in the middle or the bottom of the funnel. And in that case, there is a chance to remarket, which I'll talk about in a little bit here. But once you understand the stages of your funnel, you understand where people live based on the audiences you have, which I'll talk about in just a second, you'll want to start building out your campaigns and audiences to capture them. So for our top of funnel audiences, which we typically call tofu, and for middle funnel, we call mofu, and bottom is bofu, just as a shorthand. We do typically create a couple of campaigns with different objectives. So this depends a lot on the company, how big they are, how well known they are, but we do choose between awareness, traffic, and conversion objectives for tofu. They're usually consisting of saved audiences using Facebook's native targeting options, which includes demographics like age, gender, location, as well as interests and behaviors and other demographics like job titles, things like that. Job titles on Facebook are not quite as robust as LinkedIn, but they can still be a great option there, just as a little aside. But if the company has enough historic data, we will also create lookalike audiences using website traffic. And more rarely we'll have enough data for this, but we do like to try to create lookalikes of conversion. So if there's, people who are customers, we'll create lookalikes of those audiences. But sometimes with a smaller company, you just don't have enough data, so you'll have to wait until you start ramping up on leads or purchases, things like that, until you have a good number that lets you create a lookalike audience. So at the middle of the funnel, these audiences tend to be pretty similar. Like I said earlier, it's a little murky between the top and the bottom of the funnel where the middle is, but we do tend to focus a little less on traffic and awareness and more on conversions. These audiences, we tend to serve them ads with higher intent, such as purchasing. You'll see a CTA that says buy now, purchase, sign up. Even, maybe for an ebook, we would do download, or we would offer discounts, and they would be like get offer. So just kind of moving them a little bit more towards that purchase, that conversion intent, rather than just check us out, figure out who we are, things like that. At the bottom, the BOFU audiences they've typically already been to your site. They might have purchased from you in the past. There's that chance for reconversion, or they are very, very similar to your current customers. BOFU audiences are typically the closest to purchasing from you. They really, really only just need that little push over the edge to make them finally convert. You do have to be careful because they are so close to converting that they tend to look very similar to people who have converted. So when you make your audiences, make sure you are excluding recent conversions. Depending on your offering, this could be the last 30 days, or it could be the last, I believe Facebook lets you go up to 180 days. So you could go up to the max if it's something you don't want them to convert again. So they do tend to be cheaper cost per conversion wise than Tofu or Mofu, even though conversion objective campaigns are more expensive than other campaigns just because they're so close to converting. So moving on from the funnel, what is almost important as identifying your target audiences is figuring out what platforms they frequent. This is a general, you'll find some lawyers, but you're not going to find a lot of lawyers on Pinterest. You're going to find more of those, lawyers, jobs, professional services on LinkedIn. And the same, you'll find a lot of older people on Facebook, but you might not find them on Reddit. It's just kind of having a general idea, and, there's research out there that you can look into and see, what's the general demographic of like each of these platforms, and you can kind of figure out based on your personas or your ICP and figure out where you should be promoting your company. So yeah, conducting research, just using your common sense sometimes, and testing, just figuring out where to meet your audience, where they're at. That is key to running a successful social media campaign. I mentioned earlier, there are a couple of other, there's a lot of other social media platforms out there. Some other ones that we have, we've used a couple times, but it's not really something we use for every client. It's just something that we consider using if it will fit that specific client. So we've used Snapchat, Reddit, Pinterest, Spotify, and Twitter. And there's more, there's tons more, but each one has its niches. And you should definitely consider adding them to your advertising strategy if you have the resources and if it makes sense. You are trying to connect with your target audience, so keep an open mind to advertise them on different platforms. So moving on from paid, we have search engine optimization. This is pretty much the final piece of demand generation, the final major piece. And it's important to note that while organic traffic is free, the work that goes into it isn't. Even if you're not paying money, you are spending your time on it because SEO takes a long time to spin up. You can start posting and optimizing your site, spend a whole bunch of time on it. You may not see results for up to a year. It really just depends on a lot of factors in the Google algorithm that aren't necessarily public. So it, you can make some assumptions that I'm not really going to cover here because SEO is such a deep topic. But it is something to look into. It takes time. Sometimes it costs money because you might be writing it and spending your time on it. You might be hiring a freelancer, or one of your employees might be writing it. And so therefore, you're paying them to write copy for your blog or your website. But over time, with a focused strategy, you may begin to see improvements in your keyword rankings, as well as your site, your domain authority. So in your foundation, again, go up and check it out if you haven't. You should have identified your target keywords. You'll think about your target audience. This is very important, is helping to serve your user to satisfy them with the results that you're giving them. You want to think about them, think about what they're looking for, what content is valuable, and how can you incorporate that with your target keywords. Search engines are in essence a business. Their business is providing information. So they want to provide the most valuable, satisfying, and relevant information to people searching. So they are going to reward websites that do provide that for their users. And they reward that with a top position, so you get found way more often. So we do a couple of things here at OM to kind of work with a content strategy. One strategy that we use a lot is content webbing. We basically just create one long form piece of content, typically anywhere between 1,000 and 2,000 words, kind of our pillar piece. And then we create smaller pieces that go further into detail and link back to that main piece called supporting pieces. So we link them all internally so that users can learn more, and so that search engine crawler bots can see that there's more information available to them. So as time goes on, you'll see your strategy continue. You might see some keywords that you didn't expect, but that are very good for what you're looking for. So you can identify those opportunities and tailor your strategy to go after them and hone in on your winners. But that initial strategy is key. Demand generation, just to conclude, should always come after you have laid out your strong foundation. It should be scalable. And then the work you did getting everything set up is what's going to allow you to see if these demand generation strategies are actually working. If you're doing all this work and you don't have any of your event tracking set up, you're going to have no idea what's going on. You'll have no idea what's working. You might see people are coming in, so you know something's working, but you don't know what. You don't know if it's Facebook. You don't know if it's Google. You don't know if it's your organic. So that's why the foundation is so important. That's why we stress it so much here. So this goes for every platform. Follow the instructions given by each platform. No two are exactly alike. Setting up your Facebook pixel is going to be totally different from setting up, the Bing universal tag or the Google universal tag, even if you're doing it all within Google Tag Manager. So yeah, this is the second step in the kind of process that we go through with getting a client set up. Once you have implemented your demand generation strategy, you can begin optimizing, which is kind of like the gear shifting. And again, some of these strategies will work, some of them won't. That's fine. What is important is that you give your strategy time and money to allow it to perform, and then you kill those poor performers and feed your winners. So yeah, let us know if you have any questions. Again, we love to hear from you. It lets us know what you want to know. We love sharing what we know. And yeah, I hope you all have a good one. Bye.